Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, I welcome you to the fifth lecture of subject Education, Globalization and Change. In this lecture, we are going to discuss topic 2.4 Impact of Globalization and Change. With this topic, our second chapter will be completed and as well as our first two chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2, will be completely finished for the purpose of being presentation. Here is an ayat from the Holy Quran, ayat 56 of Al Surah Al Ahzab. Lo, Allah and His angels shower blessings on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. O ye who believe, ask blessings on him and salute him with a worthy salutation. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhallazina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. So this is the translation of this ayat 56, and there is a compliment from the new Encyclopedia Britannica about the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He became for later Muslims an exemplar of virtuous character. अमली नमूना जनव किरदार का बन गया नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम बाद के मुसलमानों के लिए. And stories presented him as realizing the Islamic ideal of human life. और जो नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के हवाले से जो फिर रवायात जो अहादीस हमारे सामने आई, उन्होंने बताया कि आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम एक आइडियल इंसान थे. तो ये हम नहीं, ये द न्यू इंसाइक्लोपीडिया ब्रिटानिका कह रहा है, जो एक बहुत कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव जो है ना वो इंसाइक्लोपीडिया है. Here is our topic 2.4 Impact of Globalization and Change. So the localized impact of globalization around world has, is and will continue to be a source of heated debate, especially since the concept has been in the limelight for the last 2 decades. तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का जो कंसेप्ट है जो हमारे सामने आता है जो बहुत ज़्यादा, तो हमारी इकोनॉमी, एजुकेशन, social structures, cultures, all are interconnected. So this we say that globalization, and education is a source of globalization and change, and there is the changing scenario. So education, globalization and change are interrelated with one another. So this concept has been debated since last 2 decades. So its debatable nature tells us about the positive and negative views, that how it affects our fields including business, economy and education, etc., and how it is nations changing the cultures of the nations of the world. So these all things will be discussed in this lecture, and the impact of globalization and change. Its change will be on higher education, secondary education, and there will be some negative impacts as well. So if we talk about education, a globalized world has certainly transformed and still does the field in certain positive ways. Like teaching methodologies has been now changed and are now more interconnected and widespread, that we are trying to learn the teaching strategies of the different countries, those who successfully are accomplishing their educational sector. Access to schools has been enhanced, and because of that, students are increasingly becoming prepared for for multi-dimensional roles, and students are understanding how global business scene works and encourages their active participation in it. So 3 points in this paragraph that are regarding teaching methodologies and increasing students becoming they are multinational roles, they are preparing for those, and students are preparing for the holistic understanding of that how global businesses are working, that now all the businesses are working on global level. So working together in a multicultural environment allows students to acquire new knowledge and thus make sense of new and unfamiliar situations by applying that knowledge, that no students are learning through internet and through technologies on from different universities and institutions from all over the world. So globalized education also enhances teamwork and the exchange of ideas among students. So this is a benefit, this is a good or positive impact of globalization on education, that students are thinking for overall education it, as a global sector. As teamwork is crucial in the academic and business world alike, learning to actively contribute is an asset for students. So students are learning about teamwork, and now teamwork has evolved as a concept in business sector and education sector alike. So now we see the so its impact on higher education. That what is the impact of globalization and change on higher education? So now higher education has to meet the demands of the global trends and global issues and trends. There are global demands and international standards. There are international standards for higher education. So higher education in the developing countries is now being integrated into the world community. That many countries are trying to integrate their education in the world community. They are trying to raise the standard of their education, because um, the student of any country or the any citizen of any country can go abroad and can get. I recently studied a report that in previous 2 years, approximately 10 lakh able, proficient intellectuals migrated from Pakistan to other countries. This is known as brain drain. तो आप अंदाजा लगा कि अगर 10 लाख एक मुल्क की आबादी का तजर्बाकार माहिर लाइफ फाइक लोग जो हिजरत कर रहे हैं, चाहे इमिग्रेशन करवा जाए बाहर के माल में, and they are serving in the other countries, what that country can do. So this is the impact of globalization on higher education. The international nature of the university is expected to be affected strongly due to this transformation. Higher education has become a commercial commodity in which a global market is taking shape. Now, education is not merely a service, it is now a commercial commodity. You have to buy it, you have to sell it. This is the impact of globalization, that you have to earn through it. So the expansion of this market due to globalization is mainly motivated by economic factors. So economy is the basic factor, that if we talk about different walks of life, different institutions which are working in our societies, like economic, social, political, religious, educational, तो ये सब इकोनॉमी पर डिपेंड करेंगे. हम जो भी काम करेंगे उसके लिए हमें पैसे की ज़रूरत कर जो है ना वो पड़ेगी. सो मैनेजमेंट्स believed about the globalized world that it only survives when the customer focused business entities will survive. So very few people in the business of higher education identify the difference between globalization and internalization of the systems. That systems are becoming international. Rui Yang, who studied in 2003 and published a book, he says that no, people can't understand what is the difference between globalization and internationalization of the systems. That economic system has been internationalized, education system has been internationalized. That if Finland has its very powerful educational system, it is selling to the world, that it is teaching them that how you can make your educational system better. So it is selling. They don't teach you how to improve your system. They say that we come in your country and we give you counsels and we guide you how you can improve your educational system. So economic standards are being used as points of reference, that for number of graduates, grants, publications, etc., are becoming sole indicators of the university achievements, while educational values are being lost in the process. That how many graduates are being selected of any university, how many grants that university or institution is getting, how many publications are being published by that university. This is the point of reference because of globalization, that now economic standards are have become a standard. They are the point of reference, they are the cutthroat criteria. So educational institutions not only they are not focusing on educational values. So this is creating divide between the more profitable subjects of applied sciences and technology and those based on theoretical values, particularly of arts and humanities. That अगर हमारे मुल्क में भी हम बात करें तो हर जगह पे जो है ना साइंस रखो या कंप्यूटर की तरफ जाओ, और अब ये हालात देख कर अब तो हर बंदे की यही ख्वाहिश होगी कि मेरी कोई डिग्री कंप्यूटर में ही हो. तो दिस इज़ द सिचुएशन that the globalization has impacted all this situation. So there is partnership between universities and industry, and that industry, they are bringing the successful economies together. They are as successful universities providing like MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard University, Cambridge, Oxford, etc. These are not just universities, these are entities, these are powerful institutions. They produce their graduates and their graduates run the world. You take example of any global company, multinational corporation, you will see that the graduate from MIT, Harvard, Cambridge or Oxford will be there. So this is the reality of this world, that now universities and industries are adapting partnerships. If industry is facing any issue, industries send that issue to the universities and university offer students to be to offer internships there, and thus the problem of that industry is solved, and the degree of that student is completed in high marks or with good grades. कि इंडस्ट्री कहती है कि भाई हमने जो है ना अगर किसी को वो रखेंगे कंसल्टेंट तो वो लाखों करोड़ों डॉलर लेगा, तो वो कहते हैं कि यूनिवर्सिटियों को कहते हैं कि भाई हमें ये प्रॉब्लम आया है, आप इसका कोई हल निकाल दें, तो यूनिवर्सिटियाँ फिर उनको जो है ना वो उस मसले का हल निकाल के देती हैं. बच्चों की इंटर्नशिप भी हो जाती है और उस कंपनी का जो कि उसने किसी कंसल्टेंट के ज़रिए लाखों में करोड़ों डॉलर्स में वो मसला हल करवाना होता है, वो चंद हज़ार डॉलर्स में अपना काम करवा लेते हैं. So this is the increasing partnership between the universities and industry. Often courses are cancelled if enough students are not do not enroll, and there are many courses which the students say that these courses should be there, and universities start those on absurd, as they can be absurd or not up to the mark. Even they can be immoral. But if students say that these courses must be there, universities try to start those courses. These are the impact of globalization on education. So the classroom is losing its importance, and with the arrival of this COVID-19, the classroom has lost its importance, and here we are. This is an example. Even the expectations of the students are changing. They expect lectures to be entertaining talk shows rather than informative. Like this dilemma we are facing nowadays, that students, under the effects of globalization, education is driven into important changes. That education is bringing faster changes because of development in technology and communication, and school systems are changing across the world, their ideas, values, and knowledge changing the roles of students and teachers, and producing a shift in society from industrialization towards an information based society. That now we are living in an information based society, that we need to know everything. So technology and communication has changed the whole of the world as well as educational sector. This is the impact of globalization, that if the developed countries are talking about modern technologies, then developing countries also try to bring those technologies in their educational system, even on loan basis, or through getting them through loans. Now the delivering of education to students is also changed, because there is technology in the classroom, and now we are going to electronic literacy, that more programs and education materials are made available in electronic form. Teachers are preparing materials in electronic form. So the this example source, as we are doing this recording lectures, as well as preparing notes, as well as ppts, slides, these all are for online teaching, and we are making this electronic, in making it in electronic form. So this happened because of globalization. कि फॉर एग्जांपल कि जो वायरस एक चाइना से शुरू हुआ, दिस इज़ द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन. यू कांट इग्नोर इट, दैट कि पूरी दुनिया जो है ना वो इससे मुतासर हो रही है. द होल ऑफ द ग्लोबलाइजेशन, मतलब गांव में अगर कोई ऐसा वाक़या हुआ करता था तो पूरा गांव मुतासर होता था. सो द वर्ल्ड इज हैज़ बिकम ग्लोबल विलेज. जो हम कहते हैं ना जी, ये जो है ना वो एक आलमी गांव बन गई है दुनिया. तो दिस इज़ द रीज़न दैट एन अनसीएबल, और कोई ऐसा जो है ना वो वायरस जिसको हम देख नहीं सकते, उसकी वजह से पूरी दुनिया परेशान हो गई है. दिस इज़ द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस वी आर चेंजिंग आवर teaching avenues, as we are going through on electronic, we are using technology. This is the impact of, and you may quote it everywhere, where you think possible. This is the impact of globalization. And students are generating papers, assignments, and projects in electronic form. So video projection, screens, books with storage devices, servers, and CD-ROMs, as well as the rise of online digital libraries are now replacing blackboards. That now the concept has changed because of the educational technology and communication. We just not talking about teaching strategies and learning of the students and materials and curriculum, as well as exams and grades are gradually becoming available by electronic means, and notebooks are starting to give way to laptops. That now the desktop computers are becoming obsolete. Now we are going to have laptops and even tablets, and even we are doing all the functions through our Android mobile phones. This all is because of the globalization, that the concept has changed. Everyone is listening podcasts, and they are there is are making people are making summaries of the books, and people are listening those summaries, and the concept has changed. Indeed, students no longer need to be physically present to learn, as education material is becoming readily available over the internet by video conferencing and tape recordings, etc. So what is this? What we are doing, what we are recording, this is all because of globalization. And we have learned it through different countries, different nations, that they are running their courses through online. So we should know. If China has started earlier, that they tried to um, they use this avenue because of the situation. So we also are trying to cope the issue of this institutional closure through online teaching. Institutions are now turning towards the use of the internet to deliver courses to students. So these are the impact of globalization on higher education. So here we will discuss impact of globalization on secondary education. I try to discuss it separately, as secondary education is up to metric, and mostly we discuss the school system in it. So higher education and school system were separated. Globalization has had its impact on the secondary level of education as well. That is, the schools stakeholders who earlier had no say in academic decision making are now making unreasonable demands that the schools are not able to meet. Today, every school in the world is trying to fix up its existing education system to meet the global demands. So I have studied this paragraph for you to understand that, and to make it understandable for you, that today our schools are trying to meet the global trends, global demands, that which type of students, which type of employees, which type of citizens will be required in the future. So schools are trying to meet those demands, and our private schools especially, and even Punjab government has launched Tele School, and before that they also launched PCTB online books, Punjab curriculum and textbook board. So this is all because of globalization, that our schools, our systems, our whole scenarios have been changed. Students are now being exposed to latest technologies such as the internet at a very early age. Here are some examples that people know. The children even know that Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, the Hollywood heroes, and then they have talked about um, today's that he says that Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise are the heroes for today's youngsters instead of Abraham Lincoln or Mahatma Gandhi. And if we talk in the context of Pakistan, we don't consider heroes like Allama Iqbal Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayhi, Qaid Azam Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayhi, and others who sacrificed for us. But people like more like the cricketers and you may say that movie stars, film stars. So what are these? This is because of globalization. School students spend more hours on computers in front of televisions than they spend with their books. So अब तो बच्चे जो है ना वो चलें अब तो हम कह सकते हैं कि जी वायरस की वजह से नहीं बाहर जा रहे, पहले भी जो है ना वो बच्चे कम ही बाहर जा रहे हैं। मतलब खेल के मैदान जो है ना वो वीरान है और सारा दिन घरों पे बैठ के जो है ना वो इंटरनेट देखा जा रहा है, व्हाट्सएप इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है। तो ये सेहत के लिए नुकसानदेह चीज़ें हैं। हमें ये भी ख्याल रखना चाहिए कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हम वक्त जो है वो कुछ अच्छी सेहत बख्श एक्टिविटीज़ में जो है ना वो गुजारें। पेरेंट्स आल्सो एक्सपेक्ट द यूज़ ऑफ हाई टेक equipments in classrooms in return of the high fees they pay. So parents also want that if we pay thousands of rupees in the name of fee, so students or their children should have high-tech equipments in their classrooms, like in private institutions at Lahore as well. So these are the positive impacts of globalization on education. Now we will talk about some of the negative impact of globalization on education. So many of these not directly related to education, but there are a couple of drawbacks to the concept of globalized society. That there is a technological gap between developed and developing countries, and they will widen even further in the future. तो जब मैंने ये स्लाइड में लिख रहा था तो मेरे जहन में एक बात आई कि मैं पिछले कॉलेज में जहाँ पे मैं पढ़ाता था वहाँ पे हुआ ये कि एक डेस्कटॉप कंप्यूटर पड़ा हुआ है, तो उसके जो है ना जब ऐसे अचानक मेरी नज़र पड़ी तो उस पे ऊपर लिखा हुआ था नासा 1984 और मैं बात कर रहा हूँ 2019 की। तो आप ज़रा इमेजिन कर लें कि 1984 में वो नासा के ज़ेरे इस्तेमाल था और जब उन्होंने अपनी ज़कात निकाली तो वो हमें मिला या हमने उसको सेकंड हैंड ख़रीदा, तो वो अब 2019 में वही डेस्कटॉप हमारी जो है ना वो लैब्स में ख़राब हो रहे होते हैं। तो दिस इज़ दैट टेक्नोलॉजिकल गैप विच वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। Consequently, such discrepancies may assist in a new form of colonization at the expense of developing countries who will most likely struggle to keep up. That if these countries don't meet up the targets, they will take loans to have those facilities, those technologies from the developed nations. So this is the developing gap. This is the impact of globalization. So because of the technology, the concept of the haves and the have-nots is evolving in the society, and the society is being divided at this ambit because the society is becoming bifurcated. While education institutions in Western societies are adopting technology, less developed countries are once again left behind, very weak and fragile to implement development programs for education. So these severe limitations, these are impacting or these are making impact on education but negatively, that everyone is struggling to keep up the momentum and to keep up to those technologies as well. The spread of education internationally as a result of globalization has effects on cultures worldwide. Now, the capitalist society has gradually affected whole of the world, and are the concepts of free trading, and regional blocks are becoming, and the concept of free trade is emerging as कि पूरी दुनिया में WTO, World Bank, IMF, etc. They are impacting the policies of the world. So educational institutions obviously have reacted accordingly by becoming more market oriented, focusing their energy more on creating capitals rather than providing sufficient education for students. So institutions are becoming market oriented, that they are focusing more on creating capital. वो सरमाया पैदा करने का जो है ना वो पैसे पैदा करने के चक्रों में है, जो है ना वो ज़्यादा पड़ गए हैं बजाय इसके कि वो एजुकेशन देते, just because of competition, global competition, because the world has become a global village. Everywhere there is competition, so this is happening. So nowadays, most of the governments are under constant pressure for checking the growth of public spending on the education sector, and Pakistan is spending just 2% of its GDP, and most of the budget goes to defense and public sector uh, agendas. So, despite the increase in the number of students and enrollments, a general trend towards the reduction of the per capita funding to higher education, as we are trying to enroll more and more students, but we are allocating lower budget for those purposes. Even in this budget, the previous budget, 50% cut was for the higher education budget, that was cut by 50%. So what is this? On one side you are trying to enhance enrollment and facilities for the students, but on the other hand, with the growing population, you are reducing the budget. So this is a constant pressure on the governments, so as on Pakistani government as well. This had led to the current fiscal crisis of the education sector, and because of this there is financial crisis. Fiscal means financial, माली, या रुपया पैसे से मुतालिक, तो ये क्राइसिस एक बहरान सा पैदा हो गया हुआ है. So many public universities and institutes are also depending upon non-governmental sources such as student tuition and other fees. So here I want to add a comment that Western countries, they offer their own students, their own citizens free education, but they take uh, a huge amount of fee from us. What is this? This is that divide. This is the impact, negative impact of globalization, that our standards are not up to the mark, and we are not encouraged to get education here because of the requirements. कि वो कहते हैं कि बाहर से आप डिग्री करके आएँ, भले जैसी ही भी करके आएँ, लेकिन उसका एक नाम ही काफ़ी है. तो बात क्या है कि बात यही है कि हम अपने मुल्क की जो है ना वो तालीम को फ़रोग नहीं दे रहे. ये सिर्फ इस वजह से कि ग्लोबलाइजेशन का इम्पैक्ट है, कि उन इदारों ने अपने आप को इतना ऊंचा कर लिया है, इतना जो है ना उनका एक इम्पैक्ट है, इन्फ्लुएंस है. अब मैसाचुसेट्स इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, MIT, उनके एक जो है ना वो मुल्क जितना बजट उस एक अकेले इदारे का होता है. उसकी वजह क्या है? वो यही वजह है कि उन्होंने जो है ना वो अपना एक स्टैंडर्ड बना लिया है. वो जो है ना मार्केट ओरिएंटेड है. हर नई कंपनी का स्टार्टअप, हर नया जो है ना वो स्टार्टअप, कोई नई कंपनी, कोई नया कारोबार, ज़्यादातर MIT के ही ग्रेजुएट्स करते हैं. These defects the system are putting the fate of universities on stake by ignoring the caliber of the graduates produced and the quality and output of the academic staff. So Ri Yang in 2003 said that And these are also relevant to now and also will be relevant to the future of the globalization and education. So with this lecture, I would like to say you thank you and good luck for learning. So up to now we have done two chapters uh, of the subject education, globalization and change. And I have not written a quotation here. I want to say that those who live without discipline, those who live without discipline die without honor. So live with discipline. Thank you.